Welcome back to the Scotti-BYTE channel, and this is Scott. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about UNIFI Protect, which is the camera system that Ubiquiti uses for their NVR system. And so I have a UDM Pro and I do recording on that UDM Pro. So a couple of things that I've discovered in the process of all of this is, if we look here, we will see that I have several cameras. And one of the cameras, or actually the first three cameras I have here, driveway, front door, and mailbox, are third-party cameras. And then the sidewalk, Thing 1 and Thing 2 cameras are Ubiquiti cameras. And if you've been following Ubiquiti lately, you've noticed that they now have support for the addition of third-party cameras, as long as your third-party cameras support ONVIF. ONVIF is a standard established back in 2008 by the Open Network Video Interface Forum, and it strives to standardize the IP configuration, device discovery, device management, media configuration, and real-time viewing of cameras. Recently, Ubiquiti started supporting third-party cameras in their UNIFI Protect application using ONVIF. And so here's an example here where I have a Reolink camera and I've logged into the web page for that Reolink camera. I've gone down to network and I go down to port settings. And you'll notice here that the ONVIF port for this Reolink camera is port 8000, and port 8000 is a pretty typical port on which the ONVIF protocol is supported. This particular camera is not on my main LAN, it is on a VLAN, and its address is 192.168.30.35. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and head on back to the Protect screen. Notice here that we don't have any opportunities to adopt a new camera. The reason for that is because ONVIF automatic detection does not work across VLANs. So if I come over here and I click this question mark, it says can't find your device. If I click on that and look down through this listing, it says for third-party cameras, ensure Discover Third-Party Cameras is enabled in Protect settings. So if we head over to the Protect settings and we scroll down the page, it has Discover Third-Party Cameras, and I do have a check mark in that. Now if we head on back to this page and click the question mark and now click Try Advanced Adoption, if I go ahead and paste that IP address in here for that camera without the HTTP, I just want to put in 192.168.30.35, and I'll go ahead and put in my username and then my password for that particular camera and do a confirm. It will say that it is invalid credentials and to please check them and try again, although I know that those credentials are correct. The trick to get past this issue is to go back up to the address and put a :8000 at the end, which is the port number for the ONVIF that we discovered earlier by looking at the Reolink camera configuration. Now, if I click confirm, you will see that the camera will be correctly added to the system. And down here, it called the camera manufacturer IPC, whatever, but I happen to know that this is my front yard camera, so I'm going to go up here to the settings, and I'm going to change this to front yard. And then I'll go ahead and click Apply Changes, and now my camera is listed in here. If I click the front yard camera, or actually if I go back to my dashboard, and I scroll down here, here is my front yard camera being displayed, and it is a 2K resolution. You'll notice that for right now, third-party cameras tend to be displayed in a 4:3 representation. And even if I go to full screen, the same thing is true. So in order to be able to get the full resolution of this camera, if I download recordings, the recordings actually occur at the full 2K that the camera offers, and it is widescreen. To demonstrate that, I'm going to go ahead and go to the playback screen, and on the playback screen, I will come down here and select that particular camera, and then I will say that I want to download, and when I download, it will give me an option to download from a particular time period. And so in this case, I'm only going to download about a minute because that's about as long as this has been in existence. So I performed the download, and it downloads the file to my downloads folder. And here I've launched the downloaded file, and it is in the video player. In this particular case, I'm using SM Player from my Linux desktop. And if I go ahead and play that, you can see that this is in a full resolution, and it is in fact a widescreen video. If I go back to settings and then select Recording Manager, you'll notice that only the Ubiquiti cameras are listed here. So we only have our 3 UNIFI Protect cameras, but we do not have the other third-party cameras listed here. And the reason for that is because third-party cameras cannot do event recording. They just either record all the time or they do not record all the time. The next thing I want to look at is going down to Storage Manager. And here you can see on Storage Manager, I have a drive in my UDM Pro, which is a 10 terabyte drive, and it's currently using 457 gigabytes of that space. And it says the earliest recording is 3 days ago, and it can record for approximately 169 days with the cameras that I have configured. Now, the important thing to consider here is that I did have a 6 terabyte drive in my UDM Pro, and I swapped it out with a 10 terabyte drive. And the thing to understand here is that I have UNIFI Protect configured that we're looking at here, and that uses space on that drive to do the network video recording. And I also have UNIFI Talk configured, and it uses space on that same drive in order to do logging for phone calls and phone call recording. I chose to simply swap these drives rather than trying to back up and restore the data. Had I wanted to migrate and retain the data, and the data we're talking about again are the camera recordings and the phone call recordings, but those weren't really important to me. If I turn around and I shut down my UDM Pro completely, I could clone that drive, that old 6 terabyte drive, to this newer 10 terabyte drive, and that I could expand the partition to use the full size of the drive. And I've got videos talking about how to do that. When all of the drive space on the new 10 terabyte drive is completely used, the oldest recordings will automatically roll off and be replaced by newer recordings, so there's nothing that you need to do in particular. And if we go up here to Recording Manager again, we see only our 3 Ubiquiti drives. However, if I go up to my Unified Devices screen, I will see that I have now 4 third-party cameras, which are the first 4 listed, and then 3 UNIFI cameras, UNIFI Protect cameras, and those are the last 3 listed. Right now, if I go down to my settings screen and I go to my control plane, you'll see that I'm running UNIFI Protect version 5.1.8.7, And recently there have been quite a few updates to UDM Protect, and I hope they're going to continue to enhance the capability to support third-party cameras. And so here we'll see that when I enter the dashboard, it will flash for a second till it syncs up on the live view, and there we have our cameras, our third-party cameras, which are the first 4 you're seeing here. If I scroll further down the page, you're seeing the UDM Protect cameras, and in fact you can see my office here where I'm doing the recording. And here's another view, and as you can tell, this is my cat's room, and then I borrow it as my office as my kitties see fit. UDM Protect can run on the UDM Pro, the UDM Pro SE, the UDM Pro Max, as well as their line of UNVRs, including the Enterprise Network Video Recorder, the Network Video Recorder Pro, and the original UNVR, as well as any systems where you might be using the Cloud Key Plus device. In addition to that, the other thing is that they have a relatively new device called the AI port, and the AI port is a device that sits between your third-party camera and your switch, and it adds AI features like event notifications for things like face and license plate recognition. And then they also say that on down the road, they're eventually going to be able to support up to 3 third-party cameras on a single AI port, even though the AI port is physically connected to one camera. But as I said, that's going to be a future, and you'll notice here that this device is $199 US, but is presently sold out. Anyway, that's it for today. Please subscribe and like to the channel, and don't forget to hit your notification bell, and we'll see you next time.